Look. I can't see anything. What the hell? How do I make you big? Fucking son of a bitch. There you go. Hello. My name's Caden Jimenez. This is very late, but this is my Mule Skinner Blue presentation. Let me put it to slideshows. So, I listened to all the songs, and the Mule Skinner Blue presentation is actually pretty cool. It's a single song that has transcended a bunch of eras of music and has meant completely different things throughout different eras. Here's just a few photos I got in my introduction slide. I got a man holding a guitar. Damn, I forgot his name. I got a light up guitar because the blues really light up your enjoyment of the world. And then a banjo. Next slide. Question 1. How are each of the 4 performances of Mule Skinner Blues similar, and how are they different? Describe these similarities in terms of the musical elements. Specifically, how does the melody and timbre change or stay the same in each version? I had a few bullet points to answer these questions. The four songs are all different tone and different timbre. And I actually do agree with that because for Dolly Parton's version of the song versus the original Mule Skinner Blue with Jimmie Rodgers' timbre and tone, his tone is very just relaxed, melancholy, talking about the times of poverty and helping people get by, trying to cheer them up. But his tone maintains a somber tone. And then Dolly Parton is just excited. It gets you dancing and happy. So, the next bullet point. The 4 songs all follow the same melody and similar pattern. That is true. All the same songs have the same length and same beats at all the right spots. They just have different lyrics and different tones. Next one. The songs all convey different emotions and soothe different parts of the soul. That's really true. When I was listening to Jimmie Rodgers' song, I was just like, oh, that's cool. You know, that must have been what it's like back in the day when the people were going around the Dust Bowl poor and didn't have cars and whatnot. But listening to Dolly Parton's, I actually was quite upbeat. I felt like I would be in a club listening to that sort of song. Or somewhere that, you know, it's a fun area to be around. And then my last bullet point, the original song by Jimmie Rodgers reflects his era. A Southern man in the Dust Bowl making his way through the Depression. On the other hand, Dolly Parker's version seems like an upbeat club song that inspires dancing and good times. That's like what I said earlier. That was the first question. On to the next. Question 2. How does each performance represent a sort of milestone in the development of country music? Let's see what I wrote. Dolly Parton pioneering a new, stronger voice for women, achieving unprecedented crossover success in pop music. I guess that's true. A lot of women could sing, but they weren't getting as much recognition as they should have been back in the times when she released her song. She released a lot of really good songs, too. Jimmie Rodgers, his impact is seen in many subsequent artists, including Hank Williams, Merle Haggard, and Bill Monroe. A lot of people growing up probably listened to Jimmie Rodgers and liked his style of yodeling and making carefree, enjoyable music. And they took to his style and replicated and made it their own. The Fenderman, making a point where the genre sounded bleak with rock and roll's electric instrumentation, leading to a greater mainstream pop success. They had different instruments at the time, and the world is changing to the point that information and songs are getting around a bit faster. Same thing with Dolly Parton. So, yeah, they had a lot more not influence, but just they had more people listening to them. And Bill Monroe is the most modern iteration of the song. I think that is a callback to the past for the generation that enjoys the classics. Yeah. I don't think I would have listened to this song if I didn't take this class. And so far, my favorite song out of the four of them was Jimmy Rogers. Next one, question 3. What historical events, trends, or moments influenced any or all the versions of the song? Dolly Parton, critical events in the 1970s included the Beatles' breakup in the 1970s, the death of Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin, the rise of punk and disco, the emergence of new subgenres like hard rock, progressive rock, and funk, and the growth of the music industry to a business that played in arenas and stadiums. The decade was a major turning point that diversified popular music beyond rock and rolls, blues, and R&B. So around the 70s, the music was changing once again. Music's always ever changing, coming in and out of existence. People like certain songs more than others. People are always experimenting, making new types of songs. Like right now, I listen to a lot of heavy bass music from artists that are very new, and you won't go back in the early 2000s or like the 80s and find that type of bass in lyrics and melody. And the timbre sounds really good to me, but when I play it in my car with my friends, they usually don't like it. I enjoy it though. They just don't think it sounds nice. Jimmy Rogers' critical music events of the 1930s include the rise of swing and big band music. Alrighty. Damn, my tongue hurts. The Fenderman. Critical music events of the 1960s include the British invasion, the climax of the youth counterculture movement at Woodstock's festival. That was I looked that up on Reddit. The Woodstock's festival was wild. It was disgusting, and there were so many people. I guess crazy that back in the day, that's how people got down at a concert. Now there's limits. I go to a concert, and I've only been to a few where I'm like, damn, there was a lot of people. That was really fun. I mean, there's always a lot of people at concerts. But anyway, nevertheless, these events were shaped by social and political movements like the Civil Rights Movement and the Vietnam War, which influenced protest music and the themes of soul and rock music. Yar! Bill Monroe's critical music event of the 1940s included the rise of bebop jazz. Bebop. I don't know what that is. Next one. Question 4. How did each version of the song influence the development of rock and roll? Each song itself was a small part of what developed into what is now rock and roll. The most impactful song is Jimmy Rogers because it is a precursor to what followed. Rogers' song set up the blueprint for future artists. That answered that question. Question 5. Did you enjoy one version of the song more or less than others? Why? Yes, I did. I personally prefer the original because the singer's voice, Jimmy Rogers, is super soothing to the ear, and understanding a little bit of context prior to listening to the song, knowing that he's going through depression, everybody's kind of in a rut. The United States is getting built slowly but surely, but he's in the Dust Bowl section of the United States. Songs like that, they really make it really makes it worth someone's time to stop and listen, because you don't know what they're going through, and then they hear something relaxing like that, they really enjoy it. But let me read what I wrote. I personally prefer the original because the singer's voice is soothing to my ear, and I enjoy the symbolism the song represents. It takes me back to the time he was singing and gives me a true snapshot of what it was like to be around in the old South. Ka-cha. Let's see what this link is. Oh, I guess it didn't work. Anywho, thank you for watching my video. Caden out. How do I end this?